Wherever my leak is coming from, it is not a huge leak. It's just leaving a puddle underneath the car, so that's how I know something's going on. But this water pump right behind there does, let's see if I can get underneath and get that. There's the fluid dripping right there. I think that's where it's coming from. Let's see if I can get in on there. Where is that coming from? It looks like that leak is coming from the, probably right at where the bearing is. Commander has front end has seen better days. Had a little accident with a non-insured, non-driver's license guy who ran through a red light. In any case, just took the front end off of here, but all I had to do was replace my radiator and my headlights on there. I figured since I'm not going to get any insurance money for it, this car is a total loss. I didn't want to throw it away though and just sell it for parts when it still runs so good, just because the front end is ugly. So the new headlights and the new radiator working great. However, water pump has now sprung a leak. And water pump did take a big hit, as you can see. Let's see if I can get into the right angle from the light here. So yeah, that water pump survived getting the shroud, or the fan had the shroud hitting it and breaking away. However, once I removed most of the plastic, I was able to get this car running pretty well and pretty reliably. So I've just got this one problem. None of the YouTube videos I've watched that show how to replace the water pump on these 4.7 or even 3.7s in any of these Jeeps or Dodges, none of them show this clutch fan on the water pump. Yeah, I've got, that's a 2006 Jeep Commander, by the way. I've never had this water pump off. So water pump's lasted well. It's done really well. Apparently one of mine is the only ones that has this clutch fan in addition to the electric fan on there. I don't know if that's a redundant fan situation or if that's some type of towing package thing. Since mine has a towing package, maybe they put on an extra fan there. But from what I've seen from all the YouTube videos, nobody else who's done these videos, they just have the water pump on there with just a nub on it instead of the actual fan. So I get to have a clutch fan in addition to the electric fan on there. I'm not sure. I guess that's what it is. It's extra cooling for a cooling package, but I'm seeing other people with Commanders that have the 4.7 in them like mine, and I'm seeing other Grand Cherokees and other Mopar products that just have the electric fan only. But in any case, my electric fan, even though the shroud got destroyed, the electric fan still comes on and works. So I guess this is just a redundant fan there. I did find a wrench. The only thing I could find was a big crescent wrench that will fit this thing, but the whole assembly and the belt just turns when I try to loosen that large nut up there. So I'm going to get some other stuff jury rigged here. Let's see if I can get this fan off of here and get this water pump changed. That nut been on there since 2006 and it's just not coming off. So what I'm thinking is I can probably remove the water pump with the fan attached. Looking around there, I think I can just turn the fan blades there and get to all of the water pump bolts that I need to, and just take it off with the fan attached. So that will be the next attempt here. I'm going to get let's go ahead and get the radiator drained here first. Okay, I had to switch to the GoPro to get in here on these tight areas, plus that sun is killing my footage here. In any case, we've got these 10mm bolts here. I'm on the bottom driver's side. Let's see if I can get this one loosened up here. Definitely easier to get to the bolts holding the electric fan, and definitely easier to get to them from below. trying to take them off without doing any of draining yet, just to see if this extra space will allow me to get the clutch fan off before I start to drain everything. This bolt here is turning into a little bit more of a bear. I hand it to those people that get perfect views while they're working on their car. That is hard to do. I can't fit any of my larger DSLR or mirrorless cameras in here. I've got to hold the GoPro. Thank goodness for action cams. And I've got my safety glasses on and I'm needing them. Well, I'm kind of needing them just because stuff is falling on my face right now. I'm seeing the wiring harness right here is the easy one. You push this button right here. Let's see if we can do that off one hand. There we go. So what you do is you take that, you pull this piece out right here, and now you've got the entire fan assembly is separated. I didn't need to pull this thing out. I can attach that back in there. I'm not replacing this electric fan. It, as bad as it looks up top with the shroud, the fan actually still comes on when it needs to. Right underneath the upper radiator hoses, last top bolt. I do not need to get to the bolts underneath the radiator fill cap because I already took that off and I was removing something after the accident and just never put it back on. So okay. All right, the final, final one right here. Okay, let's get that out of the way. So the fan is now, electric fan's ready to come out. Well, so it looks like I'm having some trouble getting this electric fan out of here because I am hitting upper radiator hose on one side and I'm hitting part of the radiator fill cap on the other side, and then if I try and come forward, I'm hitting the fan clutch. So because I have this fan clutch here, I don't have enough room to bring it forward. I no longer have a diagram of how the diagram I think was smashed off of this thing a long time during the accident. So if I can get in here and take the tensioner off and get. So there we go. Thanks to having all this stuff in the way, I needed a extender pipe and a couple extensions onto my 15mm here. Get that on there, and now I can get this. There we go. Here comes the belt. Okay, let's take that back down, nice and easy. I can avoid dropping the wrench this time. All right. Belt is off and free. Okay. Yeah, that belt definitely has water stains on it from where the water pump's leaking. Also has oil stains on it because if you've you ever changed the oil on these 4.7 liters, the oil filter, when you take it off, it always does rub against that belt and oil splatters out all over the place, and it always does drip on the belt as well. So yeah, that's another issue with it. With that thing, but okay. So belt is off. Let's see if there's any obstruction in getting to all the water pump bolts, and it does not look like there is. I should be able to get it off. Take this piece for the reservoir here. Let's get this hose removed from this guy just to get that make sure the reservoir doesn't leak when I drain the radiator. I'll just I'm going to pull this in a position that it's up out of the way, get it out of the way here. So because that no longer worked, I had to just drain, I just took the lower radiator hose off. More than one way to skin a cat, I guess, huh? Alright, so now it looks like I may have enough that I can start getting to these bolts here. Let's see if we can get to these guys, and there's that lovely fresh coolant down there, that expensive pink Mopar coolant that I just put in there, well, a year ago. So, but I'm going to recycle it now. There's a recycle center right down the street. So, and I got a fresh new bottle, so I'll be put some new stuff in there. And I'm going to be cleaning these guys off with some brake cleaner too, because these have got so much oil and crud on all of the the mating surfaces for the ribs and the serpentine belt. I'm going to clean all those off. But okay, it appears we are 13mm bolts here, so let's just start cranking these guys off. And we are at righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Here we go. Yeah, these have been on there since 2006, you can definitely tell. There's so much buildup on there, I can socket it down, seat it over it. Another 13mm bolts in there on got the dinner bell ringing apparently. 13mm goes on that center piece in there on the tensioner. So now that I got that in there, got no room to work. I've got to get that loosened up and get the tensioner off to get to these other bolts. So that whole tensioner piece has two, let's see if it can pick it up, has two I guess wheels on it. One's a tensioner, one's an idler, I guess. That's keeping that belt on, but that's also blocking my water pump bolts. So I've got to get that off now, and I have to crank onto that, so I've got to set the camera down. Okay, this 13mm bolt that holds this onto the back of the cover there, yeah, this one took some force. I needed a breaker bar for that one, so be prepared to need a breaker bar to get this piece off of there. All of the bolts at least loosened up out of this. Let's start removing them now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go starting with this one on the very top, and I'm going to go clockwise position, remove them and keep them in order. I think I do recall which ones are the long ones and which ones are the short ones, but this was the most difficult one because the fan blades are in the way. You really have to adjust it to a certain spot. I had to use a breaker bar, and I thought I was going to round out this bolt here too, because the breaker bar kept breaking off of it, or kept slipping off of there because there was no room to get into it. So if you do have a clutch fan on yours, just be aware, this one, you're going to have to do some finagling around that fan. And to get to that one. The rest of these guys were already loosened. It was just this one that was the hard one here. Let's see how many more we have. We have our final 3 to go. These guys were not nearly as difficult. These long ones are a pain till the bitter end. The bitter end. Okay. The final long pain in the butt is right up there. So these two on this side, long, this one on this side. Oh, very easy, this one. Very not so easy, this one. And this one for a short one was terrible. These two long ones were a pain in the butt too. Okay. I may have to get that. There we go. And I put that catch pan in the perfect spot there. All right. Are you kidding me? I still can't get it out. Getting this out is still going to be a pain because of this electric fan. All right, we seem to have no room to get this out this way. Let's see if we can get it out this way. Oh yeah, I think I did see that. Somebody did have to remove this bolt to get it out of there. 17 millimeter, this guy right there. That one's sticking out the top. It did require a breaker bar as well, as most bolts on here required. A huge long one, and I don't know why this piece sticks out so far. Out here it doesn't need to, it's blocking an important real estate. There we go. Haha, didn't have to take that out. There's that bad boy. What a royal pain in the butt. It's just a rubber gasket that holds that, so I don't think you really need to do too much, unless somebody did put one on using the old-fashioned gasket maker, tubeless gasket maker stuff. If they put that in there, then yeah, you'll have to scrape it off some more. But new gasket, seated in, exactly the way it's supposed to be seated in, I think. Looking good there. If I can get it seated into place here. It's nice having room for a change. 13 mils, let's get these guys tightened up here. I'm going a crisscross pattern. New water pump's going on nicely. It's so nice not having that fan in the way. Yeah, very nice. No fan in the way makes it so much easier. I can just reach down here. I can do it one-handed now. All right, then I'll grab the torque wrench. We're going to torque them down to 40 foot-pounds. Everything has been sprayed off, cleaned off with a brake cleaner. Let's try this. Let's see if we can get this routed through here before I put in all the fans again. The wonderful fans. Yeah, our tensioner. Put that on the tensioner there. There we go. I can pull this up all the way up. Come on. You can make it around there. There we go. Okay, make sure everything looks like it's, before I let the tension off, I want to make sure everything's lined up. Everybody got to be lined up on the treads. If you're not on the treads correctly, this train won't run right. There we go. Okay. There we go. Feels good. We've got tension. All right. Letting it get operating temperature. It's working real well. It's not overheating. I think it's going to do just fine. I just think that engine bay looks a lot better without that clutch fan on there. But we'll see this summer if it happens to start to push it on the heat level and it just seems like it's getting hot to me. I can easily throw that fan clutch back on there. You know, right here, all I have to do is just this part would be pretty easy to get it on there. I'm definitely going to put some anti-seize on it this time to make sure it doesn't seize on there like it did last time, or rust on there around this edge there. But yeah, it's running so far. It looks nice and clean, runs nice and clean, runs good for being essentially a wrecked Jeep Commander. Here's the old water pump right there. You can see where it was leaking from the bottom there. So got the old water pump out, and you can see where it was rusted right around where the fan bolt attaches. So yeah, I think we are good to go right now with all those other people that I've seen that have Jeeps with no clutch fan on there, just the electric fan. I've got no fan. Most of the fan shroud has been destroyed, so I cut the rest of the sharp edges that were cutting me up away. But the electric fan kicks on when it gets hot, so we'll see if that works. And yeah, looks a lot better down there.